Hello everybody, it's Warren Huart. Hope you're doing marvellously well. I'm sitting here with the wonderful Matt Brownlie. How are you?
Very good, thank you so much. Yeah.
So this, actually we're sort of like in the middle of day 2 of the recording.
Yeah.
And we're at NRG, we're in Studio B.
Studio B.
It is Brent Fischer's, God, how many songs we do?
Doing 12, yeah.
12 in 2 days.
Yeah, 6 each day.
So the reason why I bring that up is because we're dealing with incredible players here.
Right.
And which puts a lot of pressure on you because these are 1 or 2 take players.
Exactly. If you don't capture their first take, you've pretty much lost the magic. So you have to. There's no time to mess around, you know. So it's very it's a little stressful.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, you handle it very well.
Right.
I mean, you're very focused, and you just seem like you're moving from one thing to another. I don't feel the stress, but I can imagine. And having sat in that situation, a couple of things I love. It reminds me of, here we are in Los Angeles in a great studio. This reminds me of what it must have been like for many, many years, many decades, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, probably most of the 90s was, you know, these multiple sessions where you had these world-class players coming in, hearing songs for the first time. We had Larry Kuntz yesterday, for instance, who his first take was the one that we kept. Yeah. And he was reading it, and then he went to the solo and just...
Yeah, he did 2 more, but I think we're going to stick with the first one.
First one, yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
So, you've worked with Brent now for...
I think about 9 years. I'm not really sure, but it's been a while, yeah. Probably since I first started engineering, you know, so...
And what was your journey? Tell me about your journey.
My journey was, I started at this small studio called Clear Lake Audio through the Recording Connection. That's where they placed me, and my mentor was Brian Levi, who passed away a few years ago. And I started working with Brent just because he needed someone to work at his house, you know, someone to bring a laptop and just do edits. And so... Amazing. Yeah, I was like, sure. I started doing that, and then gradually it just turned into, you know, doing overdubs at the house, recording his father, Clare. Just... you know, near the end of his life, doing, you know, a lot of MIDI stuff.
Did you work on those 2 albums that won Grammys?
Yeah. The one in 2012 one, that was Ritmo, and I did the mixing on that, except for the first song, which is Rafa Sardina, and all the editing, and I think most of the stuff was tracked previously, so it was a lot of stuff that I think it was done, I can't remember, like Capitol Records and Conway and stuff, you know, kind of before I was with them, so.
That's amazing, so you mixed that, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful sounding records, and it was great to see those 2 albums after his father died win Grammys.
Yeah, it was great. And there's another one, the instrumental, it was the classical piece that he won. Yeah, that was in the composers category, so there was no statue though for me.
Oh,
yeah.
But to work on Grammy winning,
yeah,
let alone Grammy nominated records is incredible.
Exactly, yeah.
Especially in a field like this where, you know, the musicianship is of the highest in the world, the engineering is the highest in the world. I mean, we're talking, you know, what we've witnessed here is 12 songs in 2 days, not just setting up some drums, bass, guitars or whatever, and then rolling for 12 days. First set, well, let's go through it. Okay. I'd love to know because I've witnessed the setup. It's pretty insane. So you get in, the first day was...
the first day was a big band. So so we had 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, 5 saxophones, and full rhythm section, which was acoustic piano, stand-up bass, and drums. And there's not...
Full drum kit.
Full drum kit in a very small room, which kind of worked out, fortunately. There's not a lot of time for setting up and tweaking sound, so you don't really get a sound check. It's kind of like you just have to trust your mic selection and trust where you put people and just go, you know, because they don't want to wait, and it's all union musicians too. So there's, you know, if you're doing a rock record, you can maybe have a day of just set up and kind of just like getting the drums sounding really good, you know. But
Studio B, NRG, beautiful room. You came in here and quite rightly looked at the ceiling because it's...
Yeah.
So we're thinking like, you know, drum kit probably underneath here, huge sound. So you wanted to control this. That was the first thing you were telling me.
Exactly, yeah. And then they have amp closets on either side. So you can track a rock band in here perfectly. And that's pretty much what it's built for. But for us, like, you know, so we're kind of, you know, pushing the limits of the studio a little bit, you know, today. So we're just doing a full big band.
A lot of musicians.
A lot of signal flow, and pretty much all the mics are being borrowed from AEA, and we have the Royer mics that we borrowed on the trumpets. And they were nice enough to let us,
Wonderful. So we've got a lot of ribbons here.
tons of ribbons. All the horns are ribbons, And later on we're going to do orchestra, and that's going to be condensers, the typical.
I can't believe the amount of work, how much you're doing today.
Yeah.
So how many songs have we tracked already?
We've done 3. We're about to do the 4th one, and we're doing, I believe, 11 or 12 total. And there's a changeover at dinner time where we go into orchestra mode. Tomorrow is a couple small groups.
Yep.
And a couple songs just rhythm section, I think. So it's just constantly changing and different. There's a lot to
amazing.
do. Yeah.
I mean, this is the real world of recording.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to remember, when you talk about things like the Wrecking Crew, even a rock and roll setting, those guys were doing several songs a day in several different studios. I mean, it's like, that's the thing about working studios, working producers, working engineers, working musicians in Los Angeles. It's great.
Yeah.
So, can you talk us through who's where? So, which is the section here?
Okay, this is the woodwind. Saxophones are here. Eventually, they're going to be doubling on clarinet and flute, but we haven't gotten to that yet. So I usually keep them over here to isolate them, make sure no one's behind them, blowing into their microphones as well. So they're kind of treated specially. We have all these nice ribbons. These are cardioid ribbon mics, which helps isolate them. KU4s, yeah. Flute mics for later. So so we're going to kind of bring those in, have them kind of hovering over their heads a little bit when we get that going. And so over here we have the trombone section being protected from the trumpets with these small gobos. It's really nice that they had those. And then trumpets are back here.
I was going to say
Yeah.
My small knowledge compared with yours of recording trumpets is like, we're talking like, they can go through anything, so it's great they have these gobos.
It helps a little. I mean, you're not going to get perfect isolation no matter what, but
that's also probably part of the beauty, because you want everything to blend in. This is a very classic 40s sounding orchestration from what I've heard, and I love that.
Yeah.
Especially that last song with the Charlie Parker runs. It just felt so like bebop and big band mixed together. I loved it, and they probably didn't have this many mics that we're using.
No, of course not. Yeah. I mean, I tend to spot mic everybody just for controlling the mix, especially horns. Strings, I'll kind of keep them like one mic per pair of people. But for horns, I like to spot mic everybody. Yeah.
So tell us about this unusual setup you got with room mics. I never would have gone this way, but then,
Yeah, this is sort of a weird Decatry setup, and this is kind of how they do it at NRG. And they did a similar thing in Studio A, and I liked it, so I went with it again. And then we have this R88 in the back, this Bloomline stereo ribbon mic to, kind of like another set of, probably should move it over a little bit actually.
Gives you more of the conductor perspective.
Exactly, yeah. So it'll be interesting to listen to that later. Sometimes if you do a lot of edits, you can't even use the room mic, so it's sort of, And you can put these up 10 feet in the air if you want to. That's probably better for strings, but I don't know if that would make it too roomy sounding, because it's a very live kind of thing we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Sounds absolutely amazing in there.
Thank you.
We've been beaming a couple of little live snippets, even through an iPhone. People are going, "It sounds amazing."
Yeah.
When you get incredible musicians playing together, they're all feeding off each other. The energy is incredible.
That's the secret. It's like, how do you get good sounds? Like just good players, and just don't get in the way. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Don't screw it up.
Right.
Here we have the artist who's sitting here playing this Yamaha C6. What have you got going on in here?
Just two. These are M269, so they're kind of like 67s, but just
Phenomenal. You pretty much mic exactly the same way I do.
Yeah, space pairs. I mean, sometimes you can do it so many different ways, and it's just sort of whatever.
You keep them in cardioid?
Yeah, definitely.
Now, the only other thing I've done is space pair and then gone to omni just to kind of get everything. It's interesting with more classical pieces.
Yeah.
You try that, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. With the jazz stuff, especially if they're playing with a big band, I kind of just keep everything really simple because there's just so much signal flow to listen to. It's like to put too many room mics would just kind of get out of control for me. So
yeah, absolutely makes sense. Yeah. Totally makes sense. Well, it sounds beautiful.
Thank you. Setup is in a very small room, so mic placement was just kind of where I could manage to fit things. So it's a very standard, you got 57s on the toms, ribbons on the overheads, which is something I do occasionally, but seems to really work with this kit. Nothing nothing crazy. We have 2 kick drum mics that you can't see. There's glass right there. I don't know if you can see that, but I tried to mitigate that with a packing blanket so that there's no reflections into the FET 47, which is the outside kick mic. And that's pretty much it. It's a very, very simple, straightforward setup, and it sounds really good because the drum kit sounds good, you know.
All right, so we got Chuck, I'm going to pronounce it properly, Berghofer. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
I think it's okay. Anyway, Chuck is arguably the most famous double bass, stand-up bass, contrabass bass player in the world. Look him up. I'm sure there'll be flashing information here. He's insane. When I was in here for a minute with him while he was playing, and you know when you want to get that perfect kind of blah, blah, and it's sort of like most bass players get it 75% of the time. He just, it was so magical to listen to because he's like, dum, dum, blah, dum, dum. You know, he could get it perfectly on cue, that
Every
exact.
note. Yeah.
Just, I don't know what the technical term is that, or somebody tell me?
The way it blooms out of his...
Yeah, the bloom. I like that. I'll go with bloom. So you're throwing the big guns at it?
Yeah, so just a U47, that's it. And I kind of have it right where his fingers are. You know, sometimes you don't want that fret finger noise. I like it. It doesn't bother me. Occasionally, if you get like something a little too loud or it hits the fretboard in a strange way, you just isotope it out.
Now, he's such a balanced player.
Yeah. So
are you using any compression anywhere?
No, I have no processing on anything. So right now, I'm not even
EQ,
no high pass or anything. So I'm gonna do that later. Sometimes if I have more time, I'll go and I'll do light EQ. But I like to hear everything as it's coming in. You know, without, you know, as long as it doesn't sound strange. You know, which it doesn't. So yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Over the console.
Okay, everything in red is, we're using the preamps on the console, and everything in black over here is the returns from Pro Tools. And we don't have a lot of channels. I mean, we do, but not quite enough for the big band. And so we're doing some sub mixes from Pro Tools, like the drums are just here. We have woodwinds, trombones, and trumpets are like stemmed stereo. But you know, and then we also have these lunch boxes over here provided to us by AEA, and these are for the older style ribbon mics, you know, so you have like a ton of input impedance and just a lot of clean gain. And
I was about to say it's a big deal, isn't it, with ribbons to match the impedance properly.
Yeah. So it was really nice of them to let us borrow this stuff. Yeah, it used to take me a long time to phase correct, you know, big band configurations because you just have to like sit there and switch the phase back and forth on, or the polarity back and forth on like every single horn. It's very time consuming. But Harrison Mix Bus comes with this feature called the Polarity Maximizer, and you can just process everything at one time, and it just spits you out a little report at the end and tells you which things to flip, and it's really convenient.
That's really smart.
Yeah, so it saves you some time.
Right, and you really notice the difference. It's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, it's just the low end just kicks in, you know. So it just analyzes it and gives you whatever combination provides the most gain. That's all it is.
Wonderful.
You know? Yeah.
Very smart.
Right.
Fantastic. So are you mixing in Mixbus, Harrison Mixbus?
No, I'm using Pro Tools. I'm not quite on board with Mixbus yet, but I will be pretty soon, yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that are loving it. So
yeah.
I haven't used it yet, but I hear great things.
Supposedly nothing sounds like it, but yeah.
Yeah, I've heard mixes on it are phenomenal. So
Right.
That's usually the the proof is in the pudding.
And because I think some of the channels are out here and there, so like the trumpets are being sent to the console, you know, kind of willy-nilly, and the Decatry is over here. So it's kind of like I have to come in and just sort of try to memorize it best I can, because when you're stressed out, you can kind of get lost.
Yep.
You know. But
well, I think I probably did this with Kyle the first time I worked with him. I always turn to my assistant and say, when I'm working, I get really short and really blunt. Please don't take it personally. I mean,
right.
Kyle's probably heard worse people than me, but
yeah,
that's what happens. We're like, where's the so-and-so? Where's the pan this, put that, you know, whoa, patch
exactly.
that, you know,
yeah,
you just talk like that. But
well, if people aren't used to it, you know, which of course Kyle is, it can be a little off-putting, and you know.
But I always try to soften the blow, even if they know that they're going to get talked to like that. It's a professional courtesy, because, you know, we're all here. Everybody's working their butts off to create something really great.
Right.
This is another great thing about using incredible musicians, though, is they not only know how to play their instruments, they know how to play their instruments with other people.
Exactly.
So they like yesterday when you were moving the was it a quartet? No, it was 8 players or 7 players, but you were moving them in tighter on when we did strings on the second half of the day.
Yeah.
They were very aware, like, no, I need to be closer to this violinist because we're playing off each other.
That's the thing. It's a compromise between what the engineer usually wants is for a good stereo image in the room, and the players sometimes would rather they be in sections so they can blend and tune to each other, and it's sort of like usually some kind of compromise. Like I didn't have the big band in a giant semicircle. I mean, there was the trumpets behind the trombones, with gobos in between them, and that, so it worked out. Yeah.
Oh no, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so that must be said. The second half of the day was strings.
Yeah, second half. So there was a changeover around dinner time, and we went from big band configuration to strings, and and that's also you're setting up brand new mics, and there's just a lot of minds that can go off, and that adds stress. It's always nice to do the setup overnight if you can, but Brent likes to do them like midway through the day.
Amazing. So we had the incredible Chuck Berghofer.
Yeah.
Playing stand up. And then Brent himself will play electric bass as well as conducting.
From the podium.
Yeah. So, again, this is all in one day.
All in one day, yeah.
This is setup and tracking of big band, strings, stand-up bass, live drums, live piano.
Yeah.
And then, at the end of the evening, Larry Kuntz turns up.
And he just went DI, and he sat in the live room, and we just did rhythm section and tracked his guitar, and that was to be used for the songs that we're doing today. So it was, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that was the last thing we did, I think. Right.
Right at the end of the night, that was what we were talking about, where he read the chart, played an incredible solo on a song he'd never heard before.
Yeah, that's mind-blowing. Yeah.
Mind-blowingly amazing.
Yeah.
And just beautiful playing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd never been that close to him play, and he just was another guy hanging out in the studio, no ego. I think it's another thing that's great with these kind of level of players that have been working in the industry for such a long time is that, if the headphone mix isn't exactly perfect, they don't care. They've been in every situation. Right. So it's a great sort of level of professionalism where everybody just like gets stuck in and works together, and
Well, yeah, it's best not to grind the session to a halt, over a small issue, and I kind of get it, especially when there's so many people in the room. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's pretty wonderful. And a lot of the players, when I was out there, we were filming a little bit. A lot of the players are only listening with one ear anyway.
Yeah.
Because they're playing off of each other, and they're actually using the conductor.
Yeah.
If the conductor is giving them where to come in, they're following him. It's kind of this, which is something that I don't think we'll ever. Well, who knows? But you can't really replicate in the digital world because it's more of a sensitive interplay between a conductor, the other players, and what their mix they're hearing.
Yeah.
Incredible sort of.
Yeah, it is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what trains-ups have we been doing today?
Today we have smaller groups. It was just like a smaller kind of jazz band. I don't know what we call it. It's like, a couple woodwinds, 4 brass players, and rhythm section. Then we're just doing a clarinet choir next, which is 5 clarinets, just 1, 2, 3, 4 B-flat clarinets and a bass clarinet. And
amazing.
Yeah.
And just did a solo.
Yeah. So then we did solo overdubs. We're also doing more solo overdubs at Brent's house tomorrow. So It's just, it never stops. And then after that, we'll do editing and mixing, and
incredible.
Yeah.
And we'll have to come back to you when you're mixing, so we can go through that. That would be really amazing follow up.
Yeah. Oh, and also the prep work that goes into these sessions is important, especially if you don't have a lot of time to do things before the musicians show up. It's good to do your beat mapping and markers in your Pro Tools sessions before you show up.
Absolutely.
It's like, so that you can communicate with the conductor and he can just say, okay, grid 271 for 275, let's go, and you just hit it.
Is there many tempo changes in these songs?
Not in these ones. I think there was only one song that had a tempo, a retard at the end of the track, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And then one song had an odd meter, 5/4, but other than that, it's pretty straightforward, yeah.
Was that the Australia song that had the 5/4?
No,
it was the one immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
September or something else?
I think so.
Yeah, the charts would be great. I think Eric can get a couple of just snaps of the charts so people can understand what we're working on. So 12 songs in 2 days with enormous amounts of changeovers.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. I'm really impressed with your professionalism, and everything has sounded great. And
thank you.
Just the way everything runs so smoothly.
I appreciate it.
And having, obviously, having incredible players that check their egos.
Definitely helps, yeah.
A long way back, yeah.
Yeah.